Well, this day in history, one man began to change the way America takes care of troubled children. In 1917, Father Flanagan borrowed $90 to rent a boarding house at 25th and Dodge. It was the official opening of Father Flanagan's home for boys. Now, this would eventually grow to become Boys Town.
Father Flanagan accepted children of all races and religions, something that was unheard of at the time. He had grown discouraged working with homeless men, but became convinced that if children were given love, a home, education, and a trade, they could all grow to be productive citizens. $90.
Yeah, and how it has grown since.